Jay Hill has been a DJ at night venues and events for 12 years. He is also on active duty from the Army Reserves by day. He has an eclectic musical palette that revolves around the world of hip hop and reggae. He has a website where you can find out more about his work called weeklyignorance.com. Let's get right into our interview where we talk about music, internet trends, and men's mental health, making the subject upbeat and fun for our listeners. Hi, Jay.
What up, though? What up? What up?
What's up? What's up? I'm glad you're here today.
Man, I'm
Looking
glad to be
lively
here.
too.
Hey, that's how you gotta be, you know?
Yeah. So I wanted to start off with something I read on your blog, on your website, which was about Tribe Called Quest. I read the article. Everything on the blog seems pretty insightful and like pretty spot on because I started listening to hip hop around that time when Tribe Called Quest came out. So that article in particular stood out to me. And then I started a company called Questist, and my friends used to ask me like if I stole the idea from Tribe Called Quest, right?
Right.
And I was kind of curious about like how people go about picking their artist names, like a name that no one's used in the past, present, or future, and like how they make unique names. I mean, both of us have that. You have Jay Hill, that's your moniker.
Yeah, that's I mean, for me, it's just like my first name starts with a J and my last name, first four letters is Hill. So, that's how I got known.
Yeah, there's actually a football player, Jay Hill. He comes up, I forget which team he's playing for, but that's also a football player. And then my name is actually an actor from, have you ever seen Power?
No, I'm not. I haven't seen Power.
Okay, it's like I think it's HBO special or it's kind of HBO or Cinemax, one of those channels on cable. And there's an actor named Rotimi who's also an R&B singer of all things, right up our alley. Yeah, and he's pretty popular. He's getting bigger and doing good on that show. Yeah, he's actually I just saw that show yesterday. My roommates were watching it, and I saw him on there for the first time. So I was like, "Oh, he's got the same names."
I've never been a sheep in the flock of Power,
Yeah,
that Empire, none of that stuff right there. Actually, I just actually just started watching BMF, and I had to binge watch that. I don't know if you that's the show to watch.
Okay, what does that stand for?
BMF, the Black Mafia Family.
Oh yeah, I saw the commercial for that. Yeah, that looked interesting.
Yeah, I binge watched that in like 2 weeks. The whole, I think it's like 3 seasons now, maybe.
Yeah, so you like that one?
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, so you watch Netflix, and I understand you consume a lot of news too, right?
I do. On a daily basis, actually like something like hour by hour, really, because there's a lot of stuff going on out there in the world that we should all know about, like you know not just pertaining to music, but like world events, like war is a big thing that everybody's tossing around right now. Everybody's, they're juggling with it. They're like, oh, are we going to go to war? Are we not? China's making big moves. Russia and China are making big moves together. I think so Russia, China, Brazil, Iran, they became like, they've joined forces to become some type of superpower now.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of stuff happening in the South China Sea with Taiwan, Japan, who said they wasn't going to go to war ever again. They're starting to rift back up. It's a lot of stuff going on right now.
Yeah,
that we should all pay attention to.
Yeah. I mean, like, I actually stopped listening. I watched a lot of news and read a lot of news online, Google and online news. And then, like, when Trump became president, I kind of stopped looking at the news because it was all about him. It was like hard to, you had to pretty much Google search anything you were interested in because he was on the front page of everything.
He called that too. He did his speech. He said, "Hey, look at everybody. Look at all those fools back there." He was talking about the news media.
Yeah,
they out there with their cameras, and they're all talking about me.
Yeah, I bet he called that out. I don't know, like, so one thing he said, you remember when he talked about deep fakes, right?
About what?
deep fakes.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think he was referring to social media and the ability for media to kind of have fake news. He said fake news too. But it's kind of interesting because I'm into the tech world. I was just messing around with some stuff on Canva and some other AI stuff, and you can actually output like pretty realistic pictures just from typing in. I mean, you've heard Chat GPT, right?
Yeah, I've heard of GPT and Jasper.
Okay, I
But
haven't heard of
you
Jasper.
said Canva?
Canva. On Canva, they
Canva.
have this app called text to image, and you
Hmm.
type in an image like in chat text a prompt like in Chat GPT, and it outputs a realistic stock photo of that's like computer generated, all AI generated, and it's actually and it looks pretty realistic. You just type in like I think I was looking for like some stock photo for a client site, and I was just like typed in plumber fixing sink, and it just pumps out some images that look pretty realistic.
That's crazy. I think I've heard of something like that because I was talking to one of my best friends yesterday, and he has he owns like a medical company, and like he was showing me like where he typed in some AI like with like a black lady with a British accent talking about medical stuff, and then they made a video for him. You know?
Yeah, someone told me about that. You can do it with video too now. It's crazy.
Yes.
Even Chat GPT can write code, like programming code. It's what's next. I feel like it's almost like Star Trek. I've have you ever? I don't know if you were. I
Yeah,
geek out on Star Trek
yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Watch
I
that.
used to when I was a kid.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I haven't watched it that much recently, but the idea that aliens would present themselves and then it would be world peace, everyone would be like kumbaya after that.
I don't think it's gonna be from aliens. I think it's more like from like iRobot or something like that.
Yeah, that's
You know,
more along the lines, but like I feel like it's like there is some possibilities there on the positive front. A lot of people focus, especially in media, about the negative aspects of AI and robotics and all the stuff, kind of like Terminator apocalyptic type stuff.
yeah. I was actually talking to a doctor yesterday about this right here what we're doing. Like the video shots. I
Right.
remember like back in like 95, 96. I was in like fifth grade, and they gave us a questionnaire about like how do we feel as fifth graders, if one day we'll be able to talk to people on video, you know
Mm-hmm.
and that was like what, 20 something years ago, 23, 20. Well, yeah, a long time ago. you know and
Yeah.
here we are. I mean, minus the flying cars.
Yeah, well, maybe that might be something someday too. I've heard they're working on it, but we have self-driving cars. That's pretty close.
Yeah, eventually maybe.
Yeah, they just released the self-driving cars. They actually, I don't know, do they have those around where you live? The self-drive, you see the
the
Google
the
van or anything?
Teslas.
Yeah. Well, not Teslas, but around here in the Bay Area, they have a bunch of companies that are startups that are doing self-driving cars. So you'll see them driving around the neighborhoods,
Yeah, I've
like
seen
getting
those.
their hours in so they can actually release them. I think they have to do a certain number of hours before they can release the technology.
I've only seen them on the internet. I haven't
Okay.
really actually like seen one here. That'd be crazy though.
Yeah, well, we see them all the time, and there's like no steering wheel, and there's just a guy in there manning it, and
Uh-huh.
he's just like in there, not even driving because the self-driving car is driving in. And it's pretty interesting. I see it's like that news van. There's that news van again.
I guess, I mean, a good thing about that regard is that you can't get a DUI if you're not driving, right?
Yeah.
Because the DUIs are like
There's a
they're
positive.
they're really harping on DUIs, everywhere. I think
Yeah.
since Marshawn Lynch got his, even oh buddy, Nancy Pelosi's husband, when he
Oh,
got
really?
hit,
I didn't hear about that.
everybody blew up, and they're like, hey, if you got a DUI, it's a bad thing, you know.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
it's a terrible thing,
it
to
kind of
do.
is. A lot of people have died from DUIs and terrible accidents,
Yeah.
and but maybe AI is an answer to that too, you know, less DUIs, less people getting hurt on the road or killed on the road. And, you know, yeah, I don't know. There's like it poses a good question. You know, there's like the fat man, there's something called the fat man dilemma, where say there's a that it's kind of, there are different renditions of it, but say there's like three people on the side of the road on train tracks. There's two train tracks. There's a fat man and three kids on the three children on the other side, and there's AI monitoring it and controlling which way that on which track it goes to. And either way, one of the people has to be, you know,
Sure.
it's gonna hit one of the people, either the fat man or the three kids. So then the robotic AI has to decide,
Make the
you
decision.
know, yeah, who gets hurt.
I think he's always going to choose the fat man because he's lived his life. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the insinuation, but it's kind of like posited to, you know, like computer science students, like if they had to code something like that, which one, you know, which one would they pick?
The fat man.
Yeah, it
The
seemed,
fat man.
I think
I
that's why it's
mean,
called the fat man dilemma.
it's a flip of the coin because those kids could come up to be they grew up to be like world conquerors or something like that. They were like, oh, what did we just do? We should have hit the kids.
Yeah.
I mean, many different scenarios, but hey,
Right. Hypotheticals.
yeah.
So I wanted to move on to another subject. Let's talk about music for a second. Let's get back to music.
Oh, let's do
Uh,
this.
yeah, so I started listening to, I don't know, I've listened to Christian hip hop for the last like 5 years. And recently I had a loved one pass away, and I started listening to music to get me through the hard time. And like some of the
Mm.
music would even bring me to tears. And I was just wondering what you think about like music as therapy.
Um, that's a great question. I actually wrote a blog about this. I don't know if I published it yet, but like music, it can hit you in different ways. Like one of my favorite quotes is from Bob Marley. He says, "One good thing about music is when it hits you, you feel no pain."
Yeah, I remember
Right?
that one. Yeah.
But I mean, it's not really that's like on the other side. Like music can draw like different emotions. Different memories and stuff like that. You know, so like for instance, Jay-Z, his song "Cry," right?
Mhm.
Where he's like he he is incapable of crying, like he went and cheated on his girl or whatever the case he did, and he's like, hey, my bad, but like I know I hurt you, and to show you that I care, I'm just gonna put all my feelings, my heart, and everything into this song,
Yeah.
so the song is gonna cry for me, you know.
Right. So that's what that song was about.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's kind of like an, I've heard of that too, like it's an outlet for the artists
yeah.
who make the music. And I remember like Jennifer Lopez, or you remember the boyfriend that she had when she broke up with P Diddy. I think P Diddy did a song that was kind of along the lines of his feelings for her, you know.
That's that's the thing about everybody. Like DMX, he was one of the most emotional artists out there. You
Wow,
know?
I never thought of that.
Oh no, man, he got gems. You know, like slipping. You know, he's like, yo, like no matter how high up I get on the ladder of success, like I'll always fall. You know,
Right.
but at the end of the day, there's something that is gonna push me to make me get up. You know, it's in the hook. It goes like, "Yo, I'm slipping, I'm falling, I can't get up." And then he goes on to say,
Oh, right, I remember
"I
that
got to
too.
get up."
Yeah, I remember
You
that
know,
track. I didn't think of it as emotional content there. I thought it was, I didn't put two and two together for that, but obviously being a DJ, you have to think that type of way, you know, like kind of look at the emotional status, look at the crowd, read the crowd, and like uh figure out what'll get the crowd feeling the right way.
Oh yeah, I mean
having
definitely.
fun.
I wouldn't play none of those songs. I wouldn't play
Oh,
none of those songs right there if I was out. You know, unless I was like doing like a smokers lounge. You know,
right, right. So you got
where
to pick the
everybody.
mood type of
Yeah,
thing.
you know, like even your boy Moneybag Yo. I don't know if you listen to him or not, but
No, no.
man, he's got this song called Pride. Um, and it's dope because like the whole context of the song is that him and his girl, like they fighting. And he's like, yo, let's put all this pride away. You know, let's talk about things like how we used to, you know, like before all the money, the jewels, the cars, you know, we used to sit down and actually talk. But now
Right,
we got all this stuff. And like it did something to us. So let's forget all that right there and go back to how we used to. Just put all the pride away. Because I miss you, I love you. You know?
right, right. Yeah, that's I've noticed that theme in a lot of music recently. Like I've heard remember reading an article that they said emotional hip hop is coming back, you know. So like I don't know what do you think of that? Like kind of a whole new genre of hip hop is kind of coming out now. It's like with more emotional connotations, more emotional tones.
I think that right there is because like drugs are more pertinent, right? Right.
Oh,
You know, in
yeah.
hip hop. And I mean that's what they're on, you know. They're on things that bring out these emotions. So they can't help but to let it out. You know, they can't talk to their homies about it. Remember, they're all supposed to be hard, right?
Right.
So yeah, you know, let me go talk to the people. Let me go put it on
Yeah.
wax, you know, go so I can sell my emotions.
Right. And also kind of find a community that revolves around the emotions you're expressing, you know, like because a lot of the musicians and like artists, they have kind of a they call them fans, you know, whatever, but you know it's kind of like a small community around, or sometimes in some cases a large community that revolves around artists.
Yeah. yeah, definitely. I think it started like all this emotional shit started with Drake.
Oh,
Like to be
okay.
honest with you, when he made the
Yeah.
album So Far Gone, you know what I mean? Like I think that's what propelled this new generation of emotional hip hop that we got going on.
Right, right.
Well, I won't even call it emotional. I would say it's emotional pop. You know?
Emotional pop. Right.
Yeah.
Well, what do you I mean like have you seen you've probably seen more about mental health in the news. So you don't think it has anything to do with that? Because I've seen like a lot of people are speaking out on it. They had like Billie Eilish and like there's a few other people I've heard about who speak out about mental health issues who are like kind of stars or like artists and actors recently.
Well, I would say with that right there, it's more accepted today. You know, it's more accepted as a world culture, culturally, you know, occasion
Right.
or event, versus like when we were growing up. You know,
Yeah, we didn't hear anything about it really. Like we
yeah,
didn't even know it was a thing.
exactly. I remember when I was back in college. You know, this is a crazy story. So when I was back in college, and Hurricane Katrina happened, and you know, people from New Orleans were coming to Atlanta, and like all these killings was going on, and all this these suicides were going on in the news.
Right.
And me and my friends were having a like we were just drinking, right? We were just drinking 211s at the time, and I'm watching the news like I'm messed up, and I'm like, yo, suicide, this suicide. I think that night it had like 11 suicides, and I started like I went to school the next day, but I didn't go to class. I sat down in a room and I started searching the internet like for suicide helplines, right? And like I found one and it led me to another one, led me to another one, led me to another one. I think it went like three or four before somebody actually picked up.
Okay.
Right. So when I called her and you know the lady sat there and she talked to me for like like 15 minutes, and she was like, "Where you at?" I was like, "I'm at school." And then she was like, "Okay, where you like? What's the bills number? All this stuff." And like 10 minutes later, like somebody bursted in the room across the way, right? And they was looking for me, but like I gave her the room number across the hall from me.
Yeah.
So then they came in my room. They was like, "Hey, have you seen this guy?" And I was like, "Yeah, he just walked out. He went to down the hall, right?" Crazy, right? So like, as soon as that happened,
Wow.
I packed up my laptop and I went to class. And on my way to class, the chief of police called me and was like, "Hey, we're in the building. Are you okay?"
Yeah.
Right? I was like, "Man, I'm all right." And then I get to class and my dean is looking at me like, "What'd you do?" Right?
Right.
So I mean, that right there ties to like back then. Like I didn't see like the poster saying it's okay, call this number right here, you know, until after like I guess like a year or two after that whole thing happened. You know, I think it's something that if if people talk about it, then it'll be important.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, and also like avoiding the stigma, like like your teacher who like looking at you like, what did you do? Like that type of thing. That seems like a natural reaction to most people would have when they see someone with a mental illness or like being treated for mental illness. That's kind of and I've done it too. I've called that's actually the first time I had experienced calling a suicide prevention line was when I was in college too, and I was like, I don't know. I was feeling a certain type of way about my classes and like kind of down and just depressed.
Well,
Yeah.
for me, it was more like just calling to see if there's information out.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
just to see if there was somebody that would pick up because like I'm seeing it in the news. I'm not by myself. I got my friends. You know,
Yeah.
I got like we like Wu-Tang. We like 15 deep. You
Right.
know, so I always got somebody to talk to. But that was my whole premise of calling him. It was just to see like what information was out there for the general public.
Right.
And if I got to call like 4 or 5 different numbers to get somebody, you know, was it really worth it? But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
I'm
that
not
that
really
was
good.
how long ago was that? That was like you said 20 years,
What was that like 2004, 2005?
2004. So about 20 years. So it's
Yeah, about
it's
that.
come a long way because I went to college later, and these lines are really more. They're more advanced now, and there are always people manning them. They even have organizations. Like there's an organization called NAMI I'm working with now that I'm trying to be a peer counselor through, and I'm kind of going to train for that and everything. And they have their own line, which is not suicide prevention. It's just like for any mental health like problems or any like even the family of people with mental health can call the line and talk about what they have going on in their life, and people pick up right immediately. Like it's definitely come a long way since 20 years ago.
Yeah, they got like you can text like I think it's 411 or something like that. You can text numbers. You can it's everywhere now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's even in the music. They're like, "Hey, you're not alone." But back then, people listened to Good Charlotte. You know, they listen to like all this depressing music. You know, um, but now you got people that are like, "Hey, it's okay." I'm right
Yeah.
there with you. So hey,
Yeah, I feel that in the music. It's like a lot of the music is like that. There's still the depressing music though that's popular still like on some radio stations, kind of depressing songs, but I would say a lot of them have more relation to themes that are in regular people's lives, maybe a little less of like the hooting and the hollering as Ti said.
yeah, it's a good thing. It's interesting that you mentioned that because even him, he said, "Hey, like, what are people gonna listen to? If not me, when they get mad, are you gonna listen to Drake? If they go into the gym, how you gonna listen to Drake if you go into the gym? That don't even make sense.
Yeah. Well, I haven't done that, but I could see myself doing that at the gym. You know, I've actually listened to Mariah Carey like recently, so I've kind of got into like all this different music that I would never have listened to before.
No, for real.
Yeah,
I mean, ain't nothing wrong with Mariah. I remember I bought her Emancipation of Mimi album when it came out. You know, because she had one, two, maybe three songs on there.
yeah,
Yeah,
she's like one of the highest grossing artists I think ever, and something like that I read. Yeah, number one or something.
because she owns Christmas. That's why.
Yeah, that I remember that. Like
Because
that
she
was
owns
playing a lot
Christmas.
this Christmas. That was the first time I noticed it this Christmas, just on every channel.
Mm-hmm.
But someone told me it was every Christmas. It's like that.
Yep.
And I wanted to go back to something you said earlier about your professor, right? Your professor.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, you said your professor was talking with the students about the something like the what it would be like talking to like a robotic like person,
Oh yeah,
right?
this is yeah, when I was back in fifth grade, you know. So when I was in elementary school, you know, and they presented like a questionnaire about like computers and like talking, like doing video chats, like
Right.
how would you feel if one day you were able to talk to someone, on a video, and
Oh, okay.
me being a fifth grader at the time, 90 what 90 95, yeah, 95.
This was
I
just
was
for video chatting, not even like a AI person or something, right?
no.
Okay. Yeah,
I
because
was like,
yeah,
oh,
that's
yeah. I was like, I don't
95.
know.
Yeah. That's like right when the internet became more prominent. So they were probably developing technology like Zoom and all that stuff back then, and probably like startups like that.
That's when cell phones were bricks. Cell phones were bigger than the stapler right here, around that time frame. I
Yeah, I
think
remember.
computers, you walk around with them in briefcases. If you have,
I
if you had a
know.
laptop, you have that little mini screen. Yeah, typewriters were a thing.
Yeah, the CRT monitors, they're like, I don't know how many pixels per inch that is. It's like 480 pixels per inch or something.
Right. Yeah. Oregon Trail was a thing.
Yeah, Oregon Trail, I remember that. Yeah.
Math muncher or number munchers or whatever the case is.
Oh, is it? I'm like, that sounds fun. Yeah. So
Hey,
what do you think? I think the question now is, what about like talking to a therapist that's a robot or something? Do you think what that's kind of a crazy idea?
I guess I don't know how that will work out because the therapist, they can't feel your. I mean, the robot wouldn't be able to sense your emotions. A human interaction. You know, it's something. It's something about human interaction that we need.
Yeah.
Like especially like when we talk to somebody. Like when we're letting ourselves go. You need that feedback that only a human can give you. Yeah. I don't no, you can't no, I don't think you can it's possible,
Right.
for an artificial therapist. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's a little out there, but have you ever seen the movie? Remember the movie Her by Spike Jones?
Yeah.
So that was a kind of similar thing where a guy like programmed a computer that was like a woman and he fell in love with the computer. So there's a big emotion, love. Like could you ever love robotic, I don't know, like I've heard like they even have the I'll go ahead and say it, sex dolls and stuff. you know.
Hey, whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
Whatever floats you. I don't like I said, it's that human interaction for me that, I can't I for one can't get jiggy with it,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, it's a little out there for me too.
Hey,
Even though I work with computers every day, yeah, it's like,
hey, I'm gonna tell you something right now. I kind of love you. All your circuits, like, come on, man. Oh man, no.
yeah, what
Like,
about nanotech? Like you're
what is that? The lady. the robotic lady. What's her name? Where they take her around the world and they hook her up, and then they interview her. Nancy, I don't know.
This this was just on the news, right? Something about this.
Yeah.
I think I
Like
saw that
she's
article. I
all
don't
over the
remember the name.
internet, and like she gives like facial feature, like she gives these looks like when they ask questions that she don't like.
Oh right, yeah,
You know,
I saw that. That was and she's pretty in her. I don't know if that was coat. Yeah, that was pretty out there because the facial. It wasn't just the facial expressions. It was that she was talking like
right?
a normal person, and they have this like he would ask questions and she would be able to respond in like a kind of
Like
chat
just like that.
GPT name.
Yeah, but
They had a test called the Turing. Are you familiar with the Turing test?
no, I'm not.
Yeah, it's like a test where they used to test chat artificial intelligence. You have to ask. They have a team of people asking each artificial. It was like a competition to see who could get the closest to real life person in a AI. And you'd use chat back then, but now you can speak to to a robot and get a response. So I don't know I haven't heard anything about the Turing test lately, but maybe they passed it.
All the things you go. I don't know. I don't know. Look, if they want to, do stuff like that, they they just need to watch iRobot. See what happened there. Man, no, I can't do it. This is not Star Wars.
Yeah.
We're building, robots to say, hey, yeah, you're gonna help me out, and I'm gonna argue with you all day. Matter of fact, they got the ones that they build, and they do the shooting. They take them to the shooting range.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I don't know if that's real yet, or I think it's Boston Dynamics is a company that's doing that.
yeah.
Um, and I've seen it do flips and but then the YouTube video was actually a fake, the one that I watched. It
Oh, for
was
real?
like yeah, I don't think it was a real robot, the one that I saw. Yeah, it was a computer generated image.
Hey, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either, but oh, that might be a good place to end. I hate to. It's been great talking with you today. I have to say the time went by super fast.
Oh man, for real?
Yeah, I had fun. Hope our listeners did too.
All right, man. Anytime, man. Anytime. It was fun. It's a very interesting conversation. I don't know. Like I said, anything if you want to talk about, I can talk about it and keep it moving.
We'll have to get you on the show again sometime soon.
Oh yeah. I get you on my show. Like once I actually start to do like more recordings, you know, it's just it's like one of those things where it's like a pain.
Yeah, I know how it is. So actually, if you want to give a plug for that, where can people find your podcast?
Um, so I haven't launched it yet. I've gotten a couple like episodes recorded. I just haven't dropped them yet. But they'll all be on my website, www.weeklyignace.com.
Okay.
They can find me also on the Instagram at Weekly Ignates. Or they can find me on Facebook at Weekly Ignates.
Okay, great. Check Jay Hill out there, and I'll definitely be checking it out soon and listening to your podcast a little bit too.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.